Sunito and Veer at the Marigold, but there was also another team there, so somebody definitely switched up their drop. Chance probably wishes he had dropped anywhere else other than directly in front of Pars. All too happy to snag up that elim. Baka will find the other onto Aaron, as now Baka, Pars, this is probably one of the fastest fight completions we have seen them secure those eliminations so far here today. And that could be a real difference maker, because Baka and Pars, they've been getting pushed relentlessly by so many other teams. Even if they win that initial off-spawn fight, have to expect more traffic coming in towards that west side of the map there by Reclaim Villa because of the fight. That's a possibility on that forecast tower later on.
Absolutely, it will be, but here's Rapid and Bugha, who've been continuously contested here. Drop after drop, they found themselves kind of edging their way out of the top 10 for some time, but with these sets of eliminations, they'll get ever so closer to remaining inside the top 15. We'll see what Batman, Bugha, and Rapid can do. They've trended in the right direction after winning their drop game after game. Clix and Epic will, however, we've seen their successes. We've seen them shine in some great end games. We know when they make it that far, they're willing to jump up for the high ground, but hold up, Clix might just have, a little too much pressure coming in here. Epic Whale comes in to support. You never really know at the Lavish Lair. We've seen clips in the past of, the AI putting in their fair share of work, and honestly even eliminating teams, depending on if they catch you completely off guard. But
Oscar is vicious, man.
He's a beast.
Same could be said, though, for Acorn. 2 eliminations. And with Mason having been that secondary one, poor Empen, likely the first. But for Acorn and Cold, though, here at Fencing Fields, again, another team that really needed that fast elimination timer, because there is so much to threaten them at this POI. They will get inside the vault, though. So Cold and Acorn having control of the Society Medallion here at Fencing Fields means they've also got that Mythic Striker, commonly referred to as the best assault rifle in the game, or maybe just the best weapon in the game right now.
Well, Fear and Diminished, another team, like we said, started off very, very hot. The game 3 has quickly revealed itself to be one of the more difficult ones, and now the pressure continues. The teams, they're starting to engage now, much different than any game before, considering Mira and Cooper are, feels like just winging it, right? Playing it by the ear, and this time they are gonna go for the forecast tower, so they are definitely throwing a wrench in everyone's game plans right now. And, it's one of those things, you get into a skirmish against a duo and you start to feel them out. You start to decide, are these guys good? Is this a team we're capable of beating? And then you see the accuracy behind the controller of Miro in a player like Cooper, and you're like, yeah, probably not worth it. Give them the forecast tower.
Muzz just so patient, keeping a very dedicated eye towards the duo that is trying to build a moderate sky base. Clearly a team that wants that elevation so they can look to confirm their own surge tags. Slightly different story here, though, for Vorteca and Sigma. It's Golden posing a little bit of a threat here next to Ozone, but with Vorteca and Sigma controlling the upper layers, it's all going to come down to whether or not either side can find that first knock, that first elimination. Reed and Ritual certainly keeping the pressure applied here up against the likes of Ducky and Encrypted. And it's just this split approach causing so many issues for Encrypted and Ducky. They just don't know which way to look because they've got pressure on both sides of their boxes.
There's a lot going on right here. Reed and Ritual need to end this fight pretty quickly if they want to continue to have a smooth game the way they have been, and they really can't afford to drop another round this soon, especially now that they finally have got themselves comfortably off the Victory Royale into the top 5. This is where they want to be. This is where they should be, considering they have the forecast tower game after game, but Like we said, a player like Ducky, a player like Encryptor, they're seeing the successes roll game after game, and they want to take their hand at this opportunity. And this is what we should have expected, likely since game number 1, to be fair.
That's a good bite back, though, from Ducky and Encrypted up against the likes of Re and Ritual. But unfortunately for Ducky and Encrypted, it won't be enough to prevent Re and Ritual from securing that forecast tower. And so now Ritual likely just going to take their time because they were able to exchange enough blows there. Definitely acquired a decent amount of surge tag damage. Same can't be said for some of these other teams still hanging around towards that northern side of the map here. Noxy and Crisp. They seemingly want to try and look for an aggressive opportunity here. A couple of tags will connect from Crisp. But it's still not enough. You have to be very aware when you're hanging out in this area next to the classy courts. Even though there's a good amount of trees to provide some coverage, when you start making your way, the gravel blade, up some of this mountain face elevation, that'll be the chance for the other teams in the area to try and get their revenge, get some damage exchanged as well.
Well, already we're getting all the updates that we need here. Yamzo, Rise, looking comfortable. They're not strangers to making noise. They're shooting inside the tunnel here. I wonder what the idea there is, if whether or not they're just trying to scare off teams that might be in the vicinity or attract players towards them, and that's what it is. It's the Yamzo trying to attract players to Rise's bush, and that is such a clever play. Pros don't do things by mistake. It was very intentional. And Taco, you could just see the setup, the trickiness come into play. And sure, they don't get the elimination, but they get incredible tags there, which is still so important.
That was... I mean, Yamzo is definitely sick because that was a nasty strategy, man.
Crazy.
I love the fact that you can... It kind of tell in the first place, like, oh, he wouldn't just be aimless. There's no such thing.
There's no
as
bush.
pros
Right, like,
on
what are you
their level.
shooting?
Incredible
There's no
stuff,
bush
though.
there. No bush there. Just a tunnel. Very odd maneuvering to do that. And then the moment he looks up at the teammate, everything just starts to click in my mind. I'm like, oh, this is so smart. He's baiting someone. Lo and behold, someone swings over the mountain. What a play. It's the little things that you start to see come to life in the FNCS. And if you ever take the time to go into the replay mode and really look back, you'll find a lot of very interesting moments like that. Very key, you know, moments of trickery at times can be so crucial to the game and make the difference in earning you more and more points. You got to think outside the box. This is the evolution of Fortnite too. You're watching at hand, but back into the action here. Pritobot and Boyo under pressure right now. All wood expended here at the Ruined Reels. They continue to fight for it. They're just going to back off for now.
Not going to be an easy matchup there against the likes of Bacon and TK. And keep in mind, Bacon and TK, if they're the ones still remaining at Ruined Reels, typically contested by Maxo and Dolzier. So for Bacon and TK to still be hanging around, likely indicating the fact that they were successful with that initial off-spawn battle. They got off to a really strong start here as well, being Bacon and TK from that first match of the day. The mental fortitude will be what carries the rest of their matches. The Skittles and Trashy. Little fight here now over their combat cache. But the more that you fight, the more attention it draws. Skittles, Trashy, they found their elimination. They collected some goods out of that cache, and now they're ready to just keep powering through, making sure to maintain a good space from the teams that were just posing a threat behind them. But they do spot out Bolt and Zook based up on this hill. They've got to be careful.
Yeah, they just walked in and took Tahi's elimination and walked right on out of there as other teams started to come attracted to the location. But Buzz and Paper also fighting for the cache. We've seen a lot of battles like this happen you kind of hinted at it before, Taco, that there's kind of like an increase in fights over these weapons caches, and you can see why. Like, why in a grand finals you would want to secure this much excess, you know, heals essentially is really what you get, you know, privy to, and then go to fight and still have something to bounce back to keep you in the game. For Epic Whale, take a look at, he just wraps up Quanti and Byla back-to-back. Clix looks like he wins his engagement, and on the other side, Quanti gets cleaned up quickly by Epic here. Early, too, in the game.
Well, look at that max mats now for Epic. Ample amounts of medkits surrounding this man. Clix as well. 3 shield potions available. The Mythic Frenzy. This is shaping up to be a really strong showing here for Clix and Epic. And yeah, the battles for these combat caches likely to just continue piling up here over these next couple of games, MDF, because players, whether they want the heals and materials that those combat caches will be able to convert into, it's more so just the opportunity to find a possible elimination from the other team that looks to challenge for that cache.
Ugraviv have a team in sight, and they're inching their way forwards. And I like that they're trying to tempt out this opponent, see what it is that they wanted to do, but they just disengage. They don't want anything to do with any of the players here. Back on over to Re and Ritual, who have, again, had a pretty difficult time, it seems like, getting situated shortly after having to fight for the first time for their forecast tower here. And we knew what it was going to cost them, right? It was going to cost them time. It was going to cost them positioning. And you're seeing the bulk, the weight of all that difficult, you know, engagement play out here. And look at that. The shotguns. Reed doesn't even know where it comes from, by the way. Look, he didn't even block the left side. He was looking to the right still. And now I think it starts to make sense here as the information floods in.
And what's also interesting is the team that shot out that crash pad, which prevented Reet from being able to follow Ritual as effectively as he had intended. You could see the arrows from that other team. Take note of where Reet and Ritual were at in that little river dip in. It's honestly pretty lucky there for Reet and Ritual that they didn't end up as a possible solo, all things considered. Because normally when the crash pad goes, and the rotation is a lot more difficult to come by. Easy to eat some shots that you weren't necessarily expecting before. It's Cooper with an elimination now, forcing Blake to be a solo. That's going to be Macwood, picked off by our global championship duo. And Mira and Cooper, keep in mind, they made a last-minute swerve at the start of this game from their initial drop. They did not want to look for that triple contest at the Marigold. So for them, having to adjust their entire gameplay strategy, because they're not following their original loot path, they're not following their originally intended rotational path either, which means that they've had to probably implement new methods as well to look for search tag opportunities, like what Muzz just experienced. Nearly got his shields cracked, but he does have 2 shield potions to get back to full if he so desires.
And this is crazy. This is our first place team right now, still alive, but not necessarily the most comfortable. They are a ways away from being well above the surge, like Clix and Epic Whale are right here. And Clix and Epic Whale are in a completely opposite side. They don't have to push out to fight teams, but a team that seems to have a problem with the Storm Surges coming towards them. So I'd be more curious to see if they play a little more defensively, let the time tick a little more. If I had to guess, they're just going to continue to bait them in, draw them in, so things become super favorable, and then turn things around. I was going to say, buildings don't float in Fortnite, though. There's no foundation. So down it all comes. Luckily, Clix and Epic Whale were already close to the ground here, and they're just going to start to force things out a little bit more. The WTJ duo is pressuring heavily now, and this is about where Clix, I think, is going to be about fed up with it as they went through 500 mats already. All of his heavy brick material used up, and yeah, look, they're gonna get out of here. They're not gonna grant this team the opportunity to farm them for Surge.
Perfect player discipline though by Clix and Epic, because again, look at their damage threshold. They are 414 above. They don't need to risk having to expend their shield resources or their mat resources. In fact,
they have the mats there.
Clix gonna be able to track back, pick up a handful of materials, have to imagine, from builds that they were in previously. So just falling back to their little safety net. Ritual and Reet though, that's
Clutch.
A huge play there from Ritual. Not the first time we've seen it either. But Ritual probably hoping that he won't have to go for those repeat clutch circumstances.
And they absolutely needed that. They needed not only the damage to stay comfortable, but he needed to clutch this up in order to stay inside of the top 5 right now. And it is cutthroat. Cooper and Miro were just a point ahead queuing into here. And the Yamzo and Rise, Muzz and Paper were 10 and 20 points just about in the distance, so they cannot afford to let their foot off the gas pedal right now. They need to stay consistent and in the running right here, especially after coming off of the last victory. Jumping in though, Reet and Ritual position up right next to the first place team. Little do they know, this could be huge implications for everyone involved right now, and Paper and Muzz are looking to poise up to potentially ram their vehicle figuratively into Reet and Ritual, who just came out the zone, because they need to likely find some tags. They just haven't gotten comfortable, but no, they make a different decision instead. They skate out the side.
Muzz and Paper break left, Reet and Ritual go right. But as far as Sphinx and Pump are concerned, they're just gonna aim for dead center. Good crash pad. Gonna launch them straight into edge of zone here, but the journey has only just begun. Whenever you find yourself a little bit later on those rotates, makes it all the easier for players that are already situated like Rise, like Yamso. Take note, try and tag you up along the way. Pump and Sphinx do have a way to replenish their shields off those shield potions, but we see Reet, we see Ritual making their way through the river on another hill here. Peterbot, Pollo taking their time to decide. They're not really too pressed to look for damage opportunities, well above that damage threshold being 400 above, just about. Peterbot and Pollo, though, likely understanding the fact they're gonna probably have to try and eliminate a team if they want to rotate by means of the bridge.
Yeah, and honestly, they just need to start earning points as well. They're trailing behind a significant amount, some of our other game leaders, but Yamzo and Rise, this is not looking good. It seems like they burned through all their heals just to survive the storm surge for this long, and unfortunately now the lobby starts to turn on them in this massive piece of congestion. They're sitting in between here. They have Bryson Chubbs, but they have pressure coming in from the team up above. The high ground team is also underneath the surge, so anything could really happen here. And take a look, we knew this was going to be a problem for Muzz and Paper if they didn't fight. They played too passively, they ran away from too many teams, and now they're also likely to be a team to get taken out. So first and second place right now could very likely fall out of this game. And already, look, Muzz have to do something incredible, and he does enough. He does enough to at least find some tags, but can Yamzo and Rise do enough too? They know that they cannot fall down. They need a singular tag. They get one, and it's enough to at least keep them alive for now, but the pressure is still looming. They want to find another one here. And look, they don't even get to reap the rewards, the benefits of the eliminations by any means. This team underneath them is also under surge. Bryson Chubbs could have very well been a team to get eliminated by them, but Yamzo and Rise are holding on to dear life here.
It's just
and they land on Muzz.
It's a late rotate though, MDF. It's taken Yamzo and Rise too long to find their way heading towards that zone. Everyone else already poised up ahead of them. Muzz recognizing the fact it's solo v solo. He'll take the dots here as Yamzo will fall. But now Muzz, all these pre-existing builds immediately spotted out as well for trying to hang towards that backside of the zone. Will be forced to use his med kit probably a little bit earlier than anticipated. Now gonna try to take his odds up next to the bridge. Good grapple blade, propels him forward. but with no means of replenishing his shields, he's gonna have to just take his chances with this team directly in front of him. Seek doing what he can, Muzz cranking as fast as he can, but it's just not gonna be enough. He'll find himself falling shortly after. Gets a couple of placement points though, at least for his troubles.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one very important thing to point out there, is that he made it close to top 20. It may not seem significant, but for every team that falls, you know, it does get you one step closer. So those placement points will at least allow them to stay in the game to some degree there. And their lead is now up in the air as Cold and Acorn are just turning online right now. While all this is happening, Clix is starting to find his tags with the sniper. And not only that, onto a very important team, Rapid and Booga, who have been contested, Batman Booga that is, every single game, but they are still in the top 15 in the running for a tournament position this weekend. Clix and Epic, though, inching their way towards the conversation of FNCS Grand Finalist winners potentially. They are still on track here to remain at the top 10.
I've always been a firm believer that sometimes things will happen that kind of just set the tone of how your day is going to go. And for Clix, game number 1 of today, 3 headshot snipes, and it seems like he's just been connecting non-stop with this Reaper sniper rifle ever since, posing such a massive threat to everyone else in the lobby. Still not going to be an easy feat by any means for Epic or Clix to pave their way through this max pool zone here. It's going to be tough, but they've been enduring a fair share of their own battles as is. You can see some of that storm surge coming out. Teams being attacked all over, trying to get above that damage threshold. Miro Cooper slightly above. Trying to see if there's an opportunity here. Peek out. Small window edit. Miro Cooper both going to maintain the same line of sight, just trying to attack some of these teams that are set up on the hill across from them. But Ritual.
Well, I want to point out, Miro and Cooper, remember, they fought for the forecast tower this game, and they have not stopped putting themselves in a ridiculously strong position every single zone ever since then. But Ritual and Reet had to fight for theirs, and it hasn't been quite the same. Ritual now left to clutch this one up by himself. He caught an absolute pivotal knock right there, but he cannot find the damage on the down body, which is so unfortunate because he needs that damage in order to avoid the damage of the storm. That might just turn on here shortly, but the Elim comes through nonetheless, so he gets the points, and the pressure is still on now to perform, but he's made it far enough. He's near the top 15. Every team that falls here will continue to grant placement points. Meanwhile, Clix and Epic will lead the push here to the front side of zone. They have Acorn, they have Cold next door. This is all dangerous low ground, but enough of high ground for them. They want to play a different strat here, and I like this.
Clix still has a decent amount of metal, though, left to work with. Ritual, on the other hand, he's down to exclusively wood builds. Needs a refresh of some form. Trying to see if he can stealth maneuver his way for a pick onto Mew. Elimination opportunity slipping away as Ritual in real time having to recognize the fact, just waited a moment too long. Now he's got to force his way forward. Still trying to maintain, hanging out towards the backside of zone. Knows that there might be an opportunity. Gets a shot into his back. It's going to be Mew. Ritual tries to turn. Not going to be in time, though.
So close, and he couldn't get the finish, and he knew there was a player there, but he thought he was on the left side to make the wrong edit. Either way, back in with Cold and Acorn right now, who are still at 4 eliminations, but they're starting to set themselves up for the end game. Clix and Epic closing in on a top 10 here, too. And look at how quickly now they're starting to close that gap. There were so many points behind before, but now they are really starting to catch momentum here. They're starting to catch the wind in the sails, but Epic was left behind. A player jumps in. Clix leaves the door open for Epic, and unfortunately, he was nowhere there. And it's Boyo who jumps in and takes down Clix.
The deceit.
Look at high ground.
So unfortunate, but Cold, Acorn, it's just a grapple blade up. That is NA strategy for overtaking height or challenging on height. You grapple blade to the high ground, and it's just so crazy that it works, MDF. Cold and Acorn now suppressive fire into all the teams caught in the mid and low ground layer congestion. Tahi, Scented, they've got a deep run going for them this game, but unfortunately the med kits are gonna cut them short of staying inside of the zone. All too easy for Acorn and Cold to take this one home.
And a beautiful, beautiful capture of the final tag in shot there from Cold and Acorn as they put down every single duo in the lobby there at the end. NA is not holding up any types of heal-offs here. What a grand finals we have in front of us. If we thought we were gonna get semis level gameplay, you are seeing how far ahead the elevated competition is when we truly get down to the best 100, and you are watching just that. Man City's Cold, one of the most recent pickups, incredible, and of course Dignitas Acorn, the most decorated, continuing to do what they do here at the grand finals. What a great game 4.